In a small, struggling town, a family on the brink of losing everything receives an unexpected lifeline from one of the world's greatest athletes. When Cristiano Ronaldo learns of their hardship, he does more than offer a donation, he changes their lives forever. This is the story of how one act of kindness, driven by compassion and a deep sense of responsibility, sparks a transformation that ripples through a community, leaving behind a legacy that goes far beyond football. The story opens in a small, humble town where the Martins family lives. The camera pans over modest homes nestled among rolling hills, showcasing the tranquility of rural life. However, this peaceful atmosphere hides a deeper struggle. Inside their modest home, the Martins are facing a mounting series of financial problems. The scene establishes the family's dire situation through subtle details: an old table littered with overdue bills, a worn-out couch, and a kitchen table with half-finished meals. The parents, Maria and Carlos, sit at the table, looking exhausted and overwhelmed as they sift through piles of paperwork. Each letter is a reminder of the increasing pressure they're under: unpaid medical bills, credit card debt, and loans they can't repay. Maria and Carlos, once hopeful and hardworking, have found themselves stuck in a cycle they can't escape. Maria works long hours in a local store, while Carlos has been taking on any odd jobs available. But despite their best efforts, the family's income simply isn't enough to cover their basic needs, let alone pay off the accumulated debt. The strain of living paycheck to paycheck is wearing them down, and the anxiety is starting to affect their relationship. Their children, Emma and Lucas, are still too young to fully understand the gravity of the situation, but the stress is palpable. They play quietly in the corner of the living room, unaware of the tension in the air. Maria, trying to keep up appearances for their sake, smiles at them, but her eyes betray the weight of her worries. Meanwhile, Carlos continues to sift through the mountain of bills with a furrowed brow. His silence speaks volumes. He feels like he's losing control and doesn't know how to provide a better life for his family. This opening scene serves to set the stage for the family's hardship and to evoke empathy from the audience. The Martins aren't lazy or irresponsible, they're simply caught in circumstances beyond their control, which makes their situation even more heartbreaking. The financial burden has stripped away their hope, leaving them uncertain about their future. It's clear that if something doesn't change soon, they could lose everything they've worked so hard to build. This is where the story begins, with the Martins at a breaking point, unsure of where to turn, but holding on to the hope that somehow things might get better. As the camera zooms in on the Martins' home, we see the stark contrast between their humble surroundings and the overwhelming weight of their financial troubles. The inside of the house is warm, but there's an underlying tension in the air. The family has always prided itself on its resilience, but now, even their tight-knit bond feels strained by the relentless pressure of unpaid debts. The scene shifts to the kitchen, where Maria and Carlos sit at the table, silently facing a growing pile of bills. The overdue notices and final warning letters have become a daily routine, staring them in the face as reminders of their struggle to keep their heads above water. Maria picks up one of the bills, staring at the amount owed, her face etched with worry. She has been working long shifts at a local grocery store, but the money she earns is simply not enough to cover their mounting expenses. The medical bills from a recent surgery for Carlos, combined with the rising cost of living, have left them drowning in debt. Carlos, meanwhile, is doing everything he can, picking up odd jobs like lawn mowing and house repairs, but his sporadic work only brings in a fraction of what they need. Every month, they're faced with a cruel choice: pay the rent or buy groceries. The idea of keeping the electricity on or repairing anything in the house seems out of reach. Every decision is a compromise, and the constant stress is beginning to take a toll on their health and well-being. Maria, with a soft sigh, tries to keep the anxiety from spilling over into her voice. She looks across the table at Carlos, who has his head in his hands, the weight of their financial burden almost too much to bear. Despite their efforts, the reality is clear. They are losing the battle. There's no room left for compromise, no savings left to fall back on. They've maxed out their credit cards, and even the small loans they took out have piled up, with interest quickly accumulating. "We can't keep going like this, Carlos," Maria says quietly, almost to herself. "I don't know how much longer we can make it." Carlos lifts his head, his eyes red with exhaustion. He wants to reassure her, but the truth is he feels just as powerless. "We've done everything we can," he mutters, defeated. "I don't know how we're going to keep the house, or even if we can afford to send the kids to school next year." Their children, Emma and Lucas, have been quiet throughout the conversation, sensing the tension in the room but not fully understanding what's at stake. They've already had to make do with less, fewer toys, fewer outings, and often wearing hand-me-down clothes. But the emotional toll of the situation is just as significant. The stress is visible on Maria and Carlos's faces, but they do their best to shield their children from the worst of it. Emma and Lucas, still innocent and full of joy, continue to play in the next room, unaware of the strain their parents are enduring. Yet, it's clear that the Martins' inability to shield them from their reality is growing more difficult. As the camera focuses on the parents, we see how their financial problems have begun to chip away at their spirits. What was once a hopeful, hard-working family is now at a crossroads. They've come to a point where survival is their only focus, and the future seems uncertain. The looming threat of losing their home, combined with the ever-growing debts, fills them with a sense of dread. They are running out of options, and their optimism is quickly fading. In this moment of despair, the Martin situation speaks to the larger struggles faced by many families living paycheck to paycheck, caught in the cycle of debt with no clear way out. Their story is one of perseverance, but it's also a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities so many people experience when they encounter a financial crisis. Cristiano Ronaldo, a global sports icon known for his incredible talent on the football field, is also recognized for his charitable efforts and his commitment to helping communities in need. The scene shifts as Ronaldo embarks on a visit to a small, rural town, part of his ongoing initiative to support underprivileged areas. This isn't the type of charity event with cameras and publicity. It's a genuine visit to see firsthand the struggles of everyday people, to make an impact beyond his well-known philanthropic ventures. Ronaldo has made it a personal mission to connect with individuals facing difficult circumstances, especially those whose stories are often overlooked. The town, though small and quiet, is bustling with activity as locals gather for various community events. Ronaldo's arrival is met with a mixture of excitement and awe as people in the town recognize the world-famous athlete. However, Ronaldo's focus isn't on the attention or the spectacle of his presence. Instead, he's focused on connecting with the community. He spends the day visiting local businesses, talking to shop owners, and interacting with people in the area. His warm demeanor and genuine interest in their lives immediately endear him to the town's residents. Ronaldo is introduced to various families and individuals struggling with different issues: unemployment, rising medical costs, and the pressures of rural life. His conversations are sincere and empathetic, reflecting his desire to learn about the real challenges faced by the people in these communities. He listens intently as they share their stories, offering words of encouragement and asking thoughtful questions. For many of these residents, it's a rare experience to have someone of Ronaldo's stature take the time to truly understand their struggles. It is during one of these conversations that Ronaldo hears about the Martins family. A local shopkeeper who knows of the Martins situation tells Ronaldo about their ongoing financial crisis. The shopkeeper mentions that despite the family's hard work, their debt has become insurmountable and their future is hanging by a thread. The Martins have fallen into the unfortunate cycle of borrowing just to stay afloat, but the bills continue to accumulate faster than they can pay them. As the shopkeeper talks, Ronaldo listens carefully, his face showing concern. "I know their story," the shopkeeper says, describing how the Martins have worked tirelessly, and yet the financial strain has left them on the brink of losing everything, including their home. Ronaldo's expression shifts from calm curiosity to deep empathy. He's heard of families like the Martins before, but hearing their specific story strikes a chord with him. There's something about their resilience despite the odds, their quiet struggle to maintain a sense of normalcy for their children, that deeply resonates with him. Feeling a strong sense of responsibility, Ronaldo decides to visit the Martins personally. This is more than just a charitable gesture to him. It's a chance to make a real, lasting difference in the lives of people who need help. He arranges a meeting with the family, not as a celebrity offering a handout, but as someone who understands that they need more than just money. They need hope, reassurance, and support. Ronaldo's decision to go out of his way to visit the Martins is not just an act of charity, but a reflection of his deeper values. His commitment to making an impact extends beyond just his athletic career. He knows the power of his influence, but he also understands that true change comes from direct, personal involvement. This visit marks a pivotal moment in the story, where Ronaldo's presence goes from being a mere visit to a catalyst for real change in the Martins' lives. The Martins, who have spent years battling against mounting debts, will soon realize that their lives are about to take an unexpected turn, and Ronaldo will play a key role in that transformation. As Ronaldo prepares to meet the Martins, he's already been briefed on their financial troubles by the local shopkeeper. However, it's one thing to hear about a family's struggles and another to sit down with them and listen to their story firsthand. The camera follows Ronaldo as he approaches the Martins' modest home, a quaint house tucked at the end of a quiet street. It's a familiar scene in rural communities, where families like the Martins continue to push through tough times with quiet dignity. The house, while humble, reflects the warmth of the family. The exterior, however, shows signs of wear, faded paint, and an overgrown garden that hints at the family's exhaustion from their relentless struggle. Ronaldo steps out of his car and is greeted by Maria and Carlos, both of whom are initially surprised by his visit. The family, unaware that Ronaldo had learned about their situation, is overwhelmed with emotion at the sight of the football superstar standing on their doorstep. They exchange pleasantries, but there is a noticeable hesitation in their voices. They are in disbelief that someone of Ronaldo's caliber would take the time to visit them, let alone offer any help. Maria, still taken aback by his presence, invites him inside, and the family quickly gathers in their small living room. The children, Emma and Lucas, peer shyly from the corner of the room, wide-eyed as they take in the moment. Ronaldo doesn't waste time on small talk. Instead, he focuses on getting to know the Martins on a personal level. With a genuine sense of interest, he asks them to tell their story. He wants to understand their journey, the sacrifices they've made, and the challenges they've faced. Maria and Carlos, though initially reserved, begin to open up. They share how their financial troubles began with Carlos's sudden health issue, which led to expensive medical bills. Despite their best efforts, they've been unable to catch up. Maria talks about working long hours at the local store, always trying to make ends meet, but never having enough to pay off the growing debts. She talks about the toll it has taken on her health, as the stress has begun to manifest in sleepless nights and constant worry. Carlos explains the odd jobs he takes, anything from lawn mowing to small repairs, but the income is never consistent. The debts, medical, credit cards, personal loans, have piled up faster than they can manage. Through their conversation, it becomes clear that the Martins are not just struggling financially, they are emotionally drained as well. The pressure of living paycheck to paycheck has caused rifts in their relationship, leaving them both feeling isolated and defeated. They worry constantly about their children's future, unsure if they can even afford to send them to school or provide the basics like food and clothing. Their home, once a symbol of stability, now feels like a ticking clock, a constant reminder that if they cannot find a way to pay their debts, they might lose it all. As they speak, the weight of their words hangs heavy in the room, and Ronaldo listens intently, his face serious and concerned. The Martin story is one of resilience, but it's also one of overwhelming hopelessness. It is a narrative that many can relate to, hardworking people who have been caught in circumstances beyond their control, struggling to stay afloat in a system that often doesn't make room for them. For Ronaldo, hearing their pain isn't just a sobering reminder of the struggles many face, it's a personal call to action. He's not just a famous footballer anymore. In this moment, he is simply a man who feels deeply for this family, who understands the human side of their struggle. As Ronaldo listens to the Martin story, his expression softens with empathy. It's clear that he wants to help, but this isn't a decision he's making lightly. There's no grand speech or attempt to minimize their struggles. Instead, he simply acknowledges the gravity of their situation. "I can see how much you've worked to hold this all together," he says quietly. "You've been doing everything you can, and it's not fair that you're still struggling like this." Ronaldo's acknowledgement of their hardship brings a sense of validation to the Martins. In a world that often overlooks small-town families like theirs, being heard by someone as influential as Ronaldo makes them feel seen. For the first time in a long while, Maria and Carlos are no longer carrying their burdens alone. Ronaldo's empathy, paired with his sincere desire to help, signals the beginning of a life-changing shift for the Martins family. It's not just about the money, it's about the human connection, the acknowledgement of their efforts, and the understanding that their lives matter. After hearing the Martins family's story and witnessing firsthand the depth of their struggles, Ronaldo is visibly moved. The emotional weight of their situation has clearly struck a chord with him. As he listens to Maria and Carlos talk about their mounting debts and the toll it has taken on their physical and emotional health, Ronaldo's usual composed and confident demeanor shifts to one of deep empathy. He can see that no matter how hard they try, they're caught in a cycle they cannot escape on their own. Despite their relentless work ethic, their financial burden is insurmountable, and there seems to be no relief in sight. It's a stark reminder that hard work alone doesn't always provide the answers, especially when external factors like medical emergencies and the cost of living become overwhelming. In that moment, Ronaldo's mind starts to race. He's not just hearing about their financial difficulties, he's feeling the emotional weight of it. For someone who has reached the heights of success, who has experienced the kind of global fame and wealth most people can only dream of, he knows that he has the resources to make a meaningful impact. It isn't just about a one-time donation or a gesture that fades into the background. It's about giving the Martins a real shot at rebuilding their lives. For Ronaldo, this moment becomes more than just a visit. It becomes a call to action. Ronaldo steps outside the home, where his team is waiting, and briefly steps away from the family to make a few calls. He speaks with his financial advisors and a few trusted contacts, explaining the Martins situation in detail and asking for immediate assistance. It's clear from the way he speaks that this isn't just a business decision or a superficial act. It's deeply personal to him. Ronaldo's charitable efforts are known worldwide, but this is different. This is about the Martins, about ensuring they don't lose everything they've worked for, and about giving them a chance to heal and start fresh. His team works swiftly to assess the situation and come up with a plan. As he re-enters the Martins' home, there's a quiet confidence in his voice that wasn't there before. He's already made arrangements, and he's about to change their lives. Ronaldo speaks gently but with a firm assurance. "I've spoken to my team, and we're taking care of your debts. All of them. You don't need to worry about anything anymore. You'll be able to breathe again." The Martins are stunned, their faces frozen in disbelief. At first, they can hardly process what he's saying. It's one thing to receive a donation, but this is different. It's not just money being given. It's the promise of relief, the end of their financial nightmare. Carlos looks at Maria in disbelief, his mouth slightly open, unable to speak. Maria's eyes well up with tears, a mix of relief, gratitude, and overwhelming emotion. They had no idea that someone like Ronaldo, a global superstar, would even notice their situation, let alone do something so life-changing. Ronaldo, seeing their reaction, reassures them again. "You've done nothing wrong. You've worked hard, and now it's time for you to get back on your feet. This is my way of helping you move forward. You deserve to live without this weight on your shoulders." This moment signifies not just financial assistance, but a deep human connection. Ronaldo's decision to pay off their debts isn't merely a philanthropic gesture, it's a message of hope and solidarity. He understands that, beyond the money, it's about restoring dignity and offering the Martins family the opportunity to reclaim their lives. For someone like Ronaldo, whose wealth and influence could often be seen as a tool for personal gain, this act becomes an embodiment of his values: compassion, generosity, and a genuine desire to make a difference in the lives of those less fortunate. Ronaldo's decision to help the Martins isn't made for the cameras or to increase his fame. In fact, he insists on doing this anonymously at first, not wanting the story to be about him, but about the Martins. He only agrees to the public reveal later, when he sees how much it could inspire others to help their own communities. For now, his focus is solely on ensuring that the Martins can move forward with hope, without the crushing weight of debt that has defined their lives for so long. In making this decision, Ronaldo solidifies his role not just as a football legend, but as a genuine humanitarian, a man who understands the real power of giving and the lasting impact it can have on those in need. His involvement in the Martin story transcends the material. It's about providing an opportunity for a fresh start, a second chance. The days following Ronaldo's intervention are filled with a mix of disbelief and cautious optimism for the Martins family. When they received the news that their debts had been completely paid off, it felt like a dream, something they couldn't quite grasp. It wasn't just the relief of financial security that overwhelmed them. It was the realization that they no longer had to live under the constant weight of worry. For months, every conversation in their household had revolved around money, how to stretch the little they had, how to avoid further consequences, and whether or not they would be able to keep their home. The prospect of living without that pressure seemed almost impossible to believe. For Carlos and Maria, it felt as though a heavy weight had been lifted off their shoulders. The first few days were almost surreal as they adjusted to the idea that they no longer had to scramble for their next meal or decide between paying for utilities and buying necessities. They could finally breathe. They could make plans without fear of an immediate financial collapse. The thought of sending their children, Emma and Lucas, to school with confidence, without the lingering anxiety of whether they could afford it, became a new reality. But it wasn't just about the material relief. The emotional and psychological toll that years of financial strain had taken on the family also began to heal. Maria, who had spent countless nights awake, stressing over bills and the possibility of losing everything, began to sleep soundly again. She started finding time to focus on her own well-being, things like eating better, taking short walks in the morning, and having more energy to engage with her children. Carlos, too, began to feel the strain ease. The tension that had previously clouded his every decision, every interaction, started to dissipate. He found himself smiling more, laughing again with his children, and feeling a sense of pride that he hadn't felt in years. It was as though their entire outlook on life had shifted. Emma and Lucas, although they were too young to fully understand the depth of their parents' struggles, began to notice the change in their home. There was a newfound lightness in the air. They saw their parents interacting more joyfully, and their lives, once limited by financial constraints, started to open up. The kids began to ask for things that they hadn't dared hope for before: a new pair of shoes, a trip to the park, or even an extra toy. Simple requests, but for the first time, Maria and Carlos could say yes without hesitation. The family started to rediscover small joys in life, things that they had long taken for granted or believed were beyond their reach. In addition to the emotional transformation, there were also practical changes that began to take place. With the financial burden removed, Carlos was able to focus on stabilizing their future. He enrolled in vocational training to learn new skills that would increase his job opportunities and earning potential. Maria, who had spent so much time working in the local store, began to explore her own passions, something she hadn't had the chance to do in years. She took a part-time job in a community center, helping others in need, which not only gave her a sense of purpose, but also connected her to a network of people who could offer support and encouragement. The family also began to invest in long-term solutions, which felt like a luxury they hadn't known in years. They started saving money, something that had once been impossible. Their relationship, which had been tested by financial strain, grew stronger as they found common ground and began to support each other in new ways. The overwhelming sense of hopelessness that had once permeated their household was replaced by the excitement of possibility. They felt empowered, knowing that they could now plan for the future, secure in the knowledge that their debts had been erased. This transformation, however, didn't happen overnight. While the financial relief provided by Ronaldo was the catalyst, the true change came from within the Martins family. The emotional burden they had carried for so long started to lift as they felt a sense of security and hope for the first time in years. They began to see their lives in a new light, not as a family trapped in a never-ending cycle of debt, but as a family with opportunities to build a better future together. Ronaldo's gesture of paying off their debts not only provided immediate relief, but also empowered the Martins to break free from the chains of financial hardship. It gave them the freedom to focus on their personal growth, family unity, and future goals without the looming threat of financial collapse. Through his support, the Martins were able to rediscover their dignity, their hope, and their sense of agency in their own lives. This transformation was not just about finances, it was about the restoration of hope and the possibility of a fresh start. The Martin story is a testament to the life-changing impact that compassion and kindness can have on a family struggling against overwhelming odds. After paying off the Martins' family's debts, Ronaldo's involvement doesn't end there. His decision to help is not just a one-off gesture, but the beginning of a long-term commitment to ensuring the family and the community can continue to thrive. He believes that true change requires sustained effort, and his approach is one of lasting support and empowerment. Recognizing that financial aid alone isn't enough to change the course of the Martins' lives permanently, Ronaldo takes a hands-on approach to provide ongoing support that extends beyond the immediate relief of clearing their debts. First and foremost, Ronaldo ensures that the Martins are financially stable long-term. He helps them access financial education resources, guiding them towards strategies for managing their newfound financial freedom. He connects them with financial experts who offer advice on budgeting, saving, and investing so they can avoid falling into the same cycle of debt in the future. Maria and Carlos, once overwhelmed by bills and loans, now gain the knowledge and tools to secure their financial future. This proactive approach empowers them to take control of their finances and make informed decisions moving forward, giving them the confidence to plan without fear. Beyond financial education, Ronaldo also understands the importance of investing in the Martins' future career and personal development. He provides Carlos with opportunities to pursue further education and skill building. Carlos, who had been doing odd jobs to make ends meet, now enrolls in a specialized training program that will open up new job prospects in the local community. Ronaldo helps cover the costs of the training and introduces Carlos to several local businesses where he can apply his new skills, ensuring that he has the opportunity to earn a stable income moving forward. This kind of empowerment, giving individuals the skills to stand on their own, is what Ronaldo believes truly changes lives. Maria, too, is encouraged by Ronaldo to explore her potential beyond the confines of her previous job. She starts a small local business with Ronaldo's support, using some of the financial relief to purchase necessary equipment and supplies. The business, which focuses on handmade crafts, becomes a source of additional income for the family. More importantly, it provides Maria with a renewed sense of purpose. She also gets involved in local community outreach projects, helping other families in similar situations, thus giving back to the community that had supported her family. Her story becomes one of transformation, not just in terms of finances, but in how she sees herself and her role in the community. Ronaldo's influence begins to extend beyond the Martins family. His support leads to a ripple effect in the town, as other individuals and families hear about his intervention. Inspired by his example, local businesses, educators, and community leaders start coming together to provide resources and opportunities for others in need. Ronaldo's direct involvement encourages more people to take an active role in lifting up their neighbors, fostering a culture of cooperation and community support. The town, once struggling with economic difficulties, begins to see an uptick in new businesses and educational opportunities. The ripple effect of Ronaldo's generosity creates a positive environment where people are encouraged to help one another, building a stronger, more connected community. In addition to his tangible support, Ronaldo's personal engagement with the community sets a powerful example of social responsibility. He regularly visits the town, not for photo ops or publicity, but to check on the Martins and other local families who are working toward bettering their lives. His visits, though low-key, serve as a reminder that he is committed to the community's long-term success. His presence brings with it a sense of pride to the townspeople, who feel seen and valued by someone of his stature. Ronaldo's genuine interest in the well-being of the community, combined with his willingness to actively invest in its growth, encourages others to follow suit. Ronaldo also funds several scholarships for local students, ensuring that the younger generation has access to education that could open doors for them in the future. By creating opportunities for children to go to school and pursue higher education, Ronaldo is not just addressing the immediate needs of the town, but is investing in its future. Education becomes a powerful tool for breaking the cycle of poverty, and Ronaldo's commitment to funding these opportunities sends a clear message that everyone, no matter their background, deserves a chance to succeed. In the years that follow, the Martins family continues to flourish. They are no longer trapped by their past financial struggles, but are now on a path toward greater security and success. Their children, Emma and Lucas, grow up in an environment where possibilities feel endless. Their future is no longer constrained by the limitations their parents once faced, and they have the support of their community and their parents' newfound confidence to guide them. Ultimately, Ronaldo's ongoing support transforms the Martins family's future and serves as a catalyst for broader change in their community. His holistic approach, combining financial relief, education, and career opportunities, ensures that the Martins not only overcome their immediate hardships, but build a foundation for long-term success. By fostering empowerment, creating opportunities, and encouraging a culture of giving back, Ronaldo's influence reverberates far beyond his initial intervention, leaving an indelible mark on the town and its people for generations to come. Ronaldo's gesture of paying off the Martins family's debts doesn't just alter the lives of Maria, Carlos, and their children, it creates a lasting legacy that echoes far beyond the small town. His act of kindness and the ripple effects it generates in the community ultimately go on to shape a larger conversation about social responsibility and the role of public figures in addressing social inequality. Ronaldo's involvement highlights the power that individuals, particularly those with wealth and influence, can have in creating tangible, long-lasting change. This event becomes a defining moment in his career, one that transcends football and touches on deeper human values of compassion, generosity, and community support. The Martins family, now financially secure and empowered to build a better future, becomes a symbol of hope for others in similar circumstances. Maria and Carlos' story is shared widely in local media and eventually gains national attention. As their transformation is chronicled, it sparks conversations about the broader issues of financial insecurity, debt, and the challenges faced by small-town families around the world. The Martins' journey is not one of mere luck, but of hard work, resilience, and the power of outside support, demonstrating how a single act of compassion can catalyze positive change. The Martins are no longer just a struggling family. They are the embodiment of how generosity can break the cycle of poverty and inspire others to take action. One of the most significant aspects of Ronaldo's gesture is how it sparks a broader movement within his fanbase and the sports world. Fans from all corners of the globe, who admire Ronaldo not only for his football skills but also for his humanitarian efforts, begin to look at their own communities and think about ways they can contribute. Inspired by his example, several of Ronaldo's fans and followers organize charitable initiatives to help those in need. Small local businesses, encouraged by Ronaldo's focus on helping others achieve stability, partner with him to fund local education programs, create job opportunities, and provide support for struggling families. In this way, Ronaldo's influence extends far beyond the individual level and begins to foster a culture of kindness, collaboration, and social responsibility within his vast, global fanbase. Moreover, Ronaldo's initiative encourages other celebrities and public figures to consider how they can use their platforms and resources to make a positive impact. While many public figures engage in charitable work, Ronaldo's gesture stands out for its personal involvement and the direct, immediate help it provided. It's not just about making donations to charities, but about going into the community, meeting people, and understanding their needs on a personal level. As a result, more high-profile figures take inspiration from Ronaldo's hands-on approach, starting their own programs or getting directly involved in causes that matter to them. The shift from mere financial donations to active, engaged philanthropy becomes a wider trend, demonstrating that giving is not just about resources. It's also about time, attention, and real involvement. Ronaldo's involvement also elevates the role of sports figures in the broader conversation about social change. Athletes, often seen as distant from the everyday struggles of regular people, are now recognized for the potential they have to directly influence and improve the lives of those in need. By using his wealth and fame to positively impact the Martins family and their community, Ronaldo shows that athletes, like anyone else, have a duty to consider the well-being of others. His actions inspire young athletes around the world, who see in Ronaldo not just a football legend, but a role model for how to use success for the greater good. This changes the narrative around sports figures, reinforcing the idea that success is not just about personal achievement, but about lifting others up. In addition, the town where the Martins live experiences long-term positive changes. The influx of educational opportunities, business growth, and community development, all catalyzed by Ronaldo's generosity, leads to a shift in how the town is perceived. What was once seen as a small, struggling town begins to attract more attention from outside organizations and investors who see the potential for growth. The town's residents, empowered by the community-driven projects Ronaldo helped establish, start to look inward to solve their problems rather than relying on outside aid. This sense of empowerment spreads across generations, with the children of the Martins family and others in the community growing up with a mindset that they can create change in their own lives and in their town. Ronaldo's gesture also opens up new conversations around debt management and financial literacy. The Martin story becomes a powerful example of how financial support, combined with education and the right resources, can help families break free from the oppressive cycle of debt. Local governments and nonprofits start to develop programs focused on financial education, offering workshops and resources to families in need. These programs aim not only to prevent individuals from falling into debt, but also to equip them with the knowledge to manage their finances effectively, thus building a more financially resilient community. This ripple effect of financial literacy is a testament to how one individual's action can reshape the future for an entire community. In the end, Ronaldo's legacy from helping the Martins family goes beyond the immediate transformation of their lives. It becomes a lasting influence on how communities can come together to support one another, how public figures can wield their power for the greater good, and how a small act of kindness can spark a global movement. Ronaldo's gesture serves as a model of how wealth, fame, and influence can be used to create lasting change, not just through donations, but through genuine, engaged efforts that empower individuals and communities to thrive. His impact is a reminder that true success isn't measured by trophies or fame, but by the positive change one can inspire in the world.